Okay, we're going to start recording this session. Again, thank you for attending, everybody. This is the Shortcuts Marketing Advanced class. My name is Noah. I'm one of the educators with Shortcuts. And if you've attended or if you've not attended these presentations previously, we do record these sessions. And if you have to drop out early, don't worry, we will be sharing a link with you a little bit later once it's uploaded. So let's go ahead and get started on this session. We do have a few things that we always have to check off our list. So this presentation is approximately 30 minutes. We are recording, my microphone is on, and hopefully you hear everything that I'm saying. I'm going to check on the right side of the screen, on the chat window and the question window, just in case somebody is having difficulty. They usually message me and say they can't hear anything. We will allow some time for questions at the end. And just so you know, we are having another version of this classroom session tomorrow, where we're going to look sort of at a consolidated version of the cloud, the Shortcuts Cloud, the Shortcuts Marketing classroom tomorrow. So if you haven't gotten a chance to sit in on the previous 3 or 4 classes, you can get caught up pretty quickly by sitting in on tomorrow's classroom session. And again, we will be sharing that link online as well. So what we're going to look at is Shortcuts Marketing. Last week, we gave you some of the basics, how you have to set up your point of sale system to make sure that your customers are opted in or opted out of receiving messages, and even the basics of how to send a basic message to all of your clients, or how to send one of the automated messages to all of your clients. So this week we're going to focus a little bit more on some specifics that will help you send some better messages for your clients. So specifically, if you're sending a targeted email or a targeted SMS blast, how does Shortcuts Marketing know the very specific people that you need to reach? Because usually Shortcuts Marketing just messages all clients that have opted in. And then, are there any tips or any tricks that you can use when working with links or working with graphics in Shortcuts Marketing? And of course, if you decide to give permission to your staff to create campaigns, you can also do that. So, building on what we learned last week, you learned how to put together a message to all clients or an automated message to all clients, both text and email. So if you decide that you want to create a specific targeted list in Fusion, so in Fusion, under the Tools button, you should have a button that says Marketing. Now, if you go there and if you do not see this option, you might be logged into Shortcuts with the permissions of a receptionist, not necessarily a manager or an owner. So if you're sitting in on this classroom session and the owner asks you to find out how to do a targeted list, make sure you have permission to access marketing. So in the marketing screen, you're going to tell Shortcuts a few pieces of information. What types of customers are you looking for? Why are you looking for these clients? Because normally you would just message everybody that visits your salon or your spa or your barbershop. But if you have a very specific list of clients, perhaps clients that had a preferred employee, and perhaps this employee is moving on, they're going back to school or they're moving out of state, and you need to reach all of those preferred clients and let them know, let's have you schedule with one of our other stylists because your favorite employee is unfortunately moving. So you can generate a targeted list. Or let's say that you want to reach customers that have had haircuts, perhaps at your salon or your studio, but have never had a color service. That's a different type of group that you can reach. If you want to reach brand new customers from a certain date range, you can tell Shortcuts, I want to market to these specific people. And again, Shortcuts will generate that list. So we're actually going to do a step by step. But if you're already familiar with Shortcuts, if you already know a little bit about marketing, you can just skip some of these steps and go directly to marketing, put in your criteria, hit compute, and save your list. And then once your list is generated, then you can return to Shortcuts Marketing and upload your targeted list of clients. So Shortcuts will save a specific list of customers. It will save the list and it will include anybody that has opted in to receive a campaign, and then you will upload this list. Whether it's an SMS or an email, you're going to choose your file and select the appropriate text file. So we're going to do, again, a live demonstration. How does marketing work? How do you get your list of specific clients? So I'm going to get out of this presentation for a moment and go into Shortcuts, my point of sale. So I have one of my test clients here. I want to make sure that, let's pretend that yes, they had been opted into either email or text marketing. So on the right side, I'm going to Tools, Marketing. So this window is divided into 3 rows. On the top row, if you're looking for customers that have purchased a certain service or a certain product or even a certain company line, so let's say you want to target your customers that are fans of Redken, you can tell Shortcuts any customer that has bought any Redken product, and that's by using the lines on the left, are the customers that I want to reach because I'm doing perhaps a sale. Or on the right side, the other scenario that I gave you. If you want to reach customers that have had a haircut but have never had a hair color, then you can be very specific with your services. So on the top row, I'm going to choose services and I'm going to ask Shortcuts. So let's go to, let's see. Oh, this is my spa database. So we're going to go for anybody that has had a manicure but has never had a threading service. So I can choose specific manicures, and I'm telling Shortcuts, I'm looking for customers that have had at least one of these services that I'm selecting. So notice how I'm selecting one at a time. I can always just choose the category, manicures. So if a customer has had any manicure, they're going to receive this email. But I want to be more specific. So on the next row, the middle row, I can choose categories and then tell Shortcuts if they've never received a threading, if they've never received a waxing, those are the customers that I want to target. So I chose, I'm looking for customers that have had manicures with me, but have never had a threading or waxing service. So at the bottom of the screen, if I press compute, Shortcuts will actually generate me a list of customers. But before I do that, if let's say my threading, my waxing, my esthetician team is relatively new in the salon, so I don't want to search through 5 or 6 years worth of customers because some of these services didn't exist 5 years ago in my salon. So instead, I can set a range. And if I've only been doing my aesthetic services for this year, I can tell Shortcuts from January 1st to today, I want to target just those customers. And on the bottom left, where it says clients restricted to all clients. So we just told Shortcuts, I'm looking for customers that did a manicure, have never had a threading or waxing service from the first 3 months of this year. If I wanted to filter even more specific clients, I would press the clients button on the bottom left corner. So it looks like a client card. And when I press it, it does take a few moments. So it doesn't matter how big your database is. Whenever you press the clients button, be patient with it because it's sorting all of the specific demographics you now have access to. So on this window, oops, I accidentally clicked down. So on this window, this is where we can use specific demographics. So am I looking for customers in a certain city, or am I looking for customers who have a preferred employee? Are they members of a certain club or program? So occupation, this is one of my favorite ones. If you have customers that are in education, they go to school or they're teachers, and back to school season rolls around, and you want to target just those clients, you can use occupation. And as long as you've been marking this information in the client card, you can tell Shortcuts, I'm looking for people, either students or teachers, and I want to send just those people a message. Let them know it's back to school season. Let's make sure you have an appointment so that you look great on the first day. You can also look for customers. Let's say it's your first year anniversary on Facebook, and you want to just send a thank you message to everybody that was referred from Facebook and send them a coupon because it's your anniversary. If you want to send customers that have purchased or have visited a certain amount of time, so let's say you're big spenders on products, you're doing a charity fundraiser, and you want to reach your customers that spend a lot on inventory, a lot on products. So you can say, I'm looking for customers that have been purchasing more than X amount of dollars, and just send those people an invitation. So these demographics, these settings are limited only by the type of promotion that you're running. Otherwise, in Shortcuts marketing, when you send a message to all clients, it's literally that. But when you want to be very specific, always use your marketing option. So if I were to press compute, then Shortcuts will calculate my customers. And on this database, it's just a test database. So I don't think I have any actual customer history in here. So nobody's listed. Normally, this would give me a list of X amount of clients. On the right side, if I press the save button, then Shortcuts will let me save this list of customers in a text form. And this is what I would actually use to upload into my Shortcuts marketing. So yes, I understand there are no clients on the list. So let me clear my criteria. And I'm going to put my one test client, there he is, on the list. So Shortcuts will ask me, this is the list I created today. I'm going to browse where I'm going to save this, and I'll save it on the desktop so it's easier for me to find. So once I've saved it, now I can return to Shortcuts Marketing. So I'm online, I'm in the cloud. Sorry, I just had a cough there. Normally I message all clients, but instead I'm going to choose the second option, targeted campaign. And in targeted campaign, there are no default templates to work from. You have to create one. So at the bottom of the screen, I'm going to press new. And Shortcuts will ask me, do I want to give this targeted campaign a name? I'll say, yes, this is my March targeted campaign. When would I like to send out this campaign? Now, just so you know, the most popular times to actually send a message, whether it's a text or an email, is between 9 and 10 o'clock in the morning. That's approximately when most customers are checking their messages, they have a chance to respond, so that's a very popular time. So I'll say 9 a.m. And since, of course, it's past 9 a.m. right now, I'll set it to send out tomorrow. So I gave my campaign a name. I told Shortcuts when do I want to send it out, what day, what time. Now I choose, is this going to be a text message I send out or an email message to my specific customers? I'll say it's an email. If I choose display logo, remember Shortcuts will include your store logo as long as it's saved in your site settings in your console. And if you missed last week's classroom session, it is on YouTube. We do have links for it. And this will cover your uploading your graphics, making sure your social media links are in, all of that. So don't forget to make sure your graphics are uploaded. So you'll give your message a subject. So you are invited to our reopening. And of course, you can personalize the message. I can say dear, and on the right side, insert my customer's first name. thank you for being a loyal customer. We are reopening April 10th. So there's my message. And if I create a coupon or some sort of promotion, I can attach it here, or I can eliminate it. And I can include a link to book now, or if I have a barbershop or a check-in location, to check in. And at the bottom, before I upload my list, I can just do a quick preview. And Shortcuts Marketing will generate a snapshot of what this message looks like. And this, of course, will include the company graphic, the company logo. And if this message looks good to me, then I can press Choose File, and Shortcuts will ask me, please select that client list that you saved. And I saved it on my desktop along with a million other files, so I have to find it. Thankfully, the client list is always labeled client list and it has a calendar date on it. So it should be easy for you to find the text document. Once you select it, well, I have one client in the file and I don't have his email, unfortunately. But then I can send a test to myself or I can activate it. So if I had a list of customers there, once I hit activate, then tomorrow at 9 o'clock, only those specific customers will get this message, not my entire client list. And those same rules apply if I were to set my message up in SMS, in text. I would still choose my file. The customer, of course, would still have to be opted in to receive text marketing. And then tomorrow at 9 o'clock, they would receive this message. So I hope those steps were easy enough to follow. We're going back to the presentation. So what are a few other things that you can do in Shortcuts Marketing? So we talked about previewing it. We talked about sending a test message. You can also send a test text message to yourself if you just want to see how it looks on your phone. You can make edits as you need to, and if you're happy with it, you can activate it. Now, Shortcuts Marketing is not the most robust of the email programs that you can be using because we do support MailChimp. And in a moment, in a little bit, we're going to be announcing Shortcuts Elite Marketing, which is a little more flexible. But there is a chance for you to do some basic editing in here. One of the things that you may want to include are URLs, links that your customers can click on in the message itself. So in this example, we have a website and it's Lenny's Barbershop. Lenny's one of my favorite customers. And when he sends out a message, we want to make sure that we have a link to his store page. So if you were to paste a URL into your email, Shortcuts Marketing will automatically convert it into a link for your customers. So you can put in your other social media pages. I mean, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, those are already covered in the buttons that appear at the bottom of the message. But let's say you had a Pinterest page or you were really proud of your Yelp history. You can include those links. You would just paste them into your message. And if you know a little bit of HTML, you can even streamline the links. So for example, the whole http www.lennysbarbershop.com, that's a little bit long. Maybe you don't want to have your email look that complex. You can shorten it. So if you were to use the HTML that I have, and it's below, it's you open the bracket A href equals, and then in quotes, you're going to paste in the full URL, the full HTTP Lenny's Barbershop URL, for example. And the quote, close the bracket, and then you would type in what you want the link to say. So instead, you would say, click here to visit. And then you would put the little bit of code, the bracket /A. And when the customer gets the email, instead of seeing that full URL, instead it just says click here to visit. So that's if you're very particular about the appearance of the message. You can use a little bit of basic HTML. Now, this doesn't include HTML for color codes or things like that. That's not currently supported. I don't know if it will be in the future. But what about graphics? So Shortcuts Marketing only allows you to insert one graphic, and that's at the very top of the message, the header. And we always recommend any header graphic should be 600 pixels by 300 pixels. And the formats that are supported are JPEG, GIF, or PNG. So those are pretty universal. It doesn't matter if you have a Mac or a PC. If you have a basic image editor, those should be able to save it in one of those formats. So that specific size of banner, that specific size of graphic and format also works well if you're using online booking. So on the online booking site, having a graphic that's 600 by 300 fits very well on the templates. Something to avoid. If you have a file that's a PDF or a PSD, a Photoshop, AI, which is Illustrator, or any other file type other than the ones I've mentioned, those are not really supported by email. They're not really graphic files. They're files that are either vector-based or something that's not necessarily designated to be just a graphic on an email. So try to avoid using those. So let's say you don't have a graphic, or you have a picture and you want to make sure it's the right size or the right format. How do you use that? So again, we'll get out of PowerPoint for just a second, and we'll go to my graphics folder. So I already have graphics that I use when I'm sending out messages, but let's say I have a salon photo, and I'm going to open this. Now I'm in Windows, and this is the nice thing. Even if you don't have Photoshop, Windows always has a basic image editor you can use, and that's the Paint program. I call it the poor man's Photoshop. So down at the bottom of the screen, on the bottom center, it actually tells me this picture that I have of my gallery or my salon is 734 pixels by 455 pixels. So it's not the right size, at least not for an email campaign. So at the very top, there's a few things I could do. I can press the resize button, and I can tell it my horizontal needs to be 600 pixels. But notice these numbers are locked. So if I change it from 700 to 600, it automatically changes the vertical. Now this vertical needs to be exactly 300. So if I uncheck maintain aspect ratio, I'm allowed to tweak this number a little bit. So then once I press OK, there's my new graphic. Now it looks a little bit distorted because I changed the format, the horizontal and the vertical, to a little bit more than what would be acceptable. I can also use the select tool, this marquee tool, and try to get it a little bit closer. And if you look at the bottom of the screen, as I draw the marquee tool, it will actually show me how many pixels this particular frame is. So I can actually just freehand look and see when I get to about 600 and 300. And now I can press crop. So now it's not distorted at all. Now I'm off by exactly 1 pixel. That's not the end of the world. Once I've cropped my image, or once I've hit resize and typed in how big it should be, then I can save it. So I'll say save as. I'll save it as a JPEG. And I'll go to my manage marketing folder, and I'll call it my salon banner. So now that I've saved it, if I were to return to marketing, I'll go to my email, display image, choose my file, and I'll choose that salon banner that I just created. And where is it? Salon banner. Here it is. Now when I preview it, I'll have both my company graphic and my salon banner. So if you're sending out messages for happy birthdays or we miss yous or other types of automated campaigns, you're welcome to upload a banner. Just make sure you try to keep it in the format 600 by 300 and either JPEG or PNG or GIF. All right, back to the presentation. So if you have a very creative employee and they're super good at putting together promotional material, flyers, web pages, things like that, and you want to give them permission to actually put together your email campaigns, you can give staff members permission in your cloud security settings. So if you go to the cloud and you go to the menu button, you're going to go to General Settings, Roles, Permissions, and Configuration. Once you're in configuration, there's a little slider that says yes or no, and it's I can configure marketing campaigns. So if you have an employee and you change that permission, then anybody that's marked at the employee level can now create campaigns on your behalf. So most salons or spas or barbershops don't really give their staff that flexibility. You may reserve it for a a manager level or a reception level, and you can create custom roles. We're not going to talk about creating custom roles on this presentation. We did talk about it in a previous classroom session. If you look up the classroom session on working with the Shortcuts Cloud, the advanced class, that's the one where I talked about how to create custom roles. So this is one you might want to create for your most creative staff member. And that covers the advanced Shortcuts marketing tips. So now you know how to prepare shortcuts to use targeted marketing, how to search for customers, how to export that list, some basics on working with images and HTML, and how to create those graphics. So now it's question time. Oops, hold on a moment. There we go. I lost the controller for a second. Okay, so now it's question time. So on the right side of your screen, if you're still listening in to this presentation, you should have a question or a chat box, and you can type in your message there. I'll give you a few moments, and then we'll go through those. And I'm checking. I see the Venerate brothers are there. Well, I hope you guys are well. All right. Nope, no questions, it looks like. Oh, I'm checking. Somebody has a raised hand. Did you have a question, Maurice Venere? There we go. Oh, he's just saying hello. All right. Well, if you think of a question on anything we talked about with regards to Shortcuts marketing, you can always email us and you can always reach us on our social media. We will get back to you, especially for anybody that had to drop out of today's presentation. We are sending the links out. So if there's something that I didn't explain or you just want to follow up on, be sure to reach out to us and we will get back to you. And if you have an ancient version of Shortcuts, and that's a very small portion of the actual Shortcuts community, where you're not using the cloud because your computer is running Windows 8 and you haven't updated your system in more than a decade, then do consider getting an upgrade, get in contact with our customer care team so you can start taking advantage of our cloud features, especially our marketing features. And tomorrow we'll discuss the other cloud features you can start to use when you're working remotely. And if you have any other questions, you can also reach us on our social media. We do check it and we will get back to you. So thank you all for attending, and I look forward to seeing you on our next classroom session. And remember, tomorrow, if you can make it, we are going to do a sort of consolidated class on a number of cloud features that you can use while you're working remotely in case your salon or your business has to be closed for the next couple of weeks. So thank you for attending, and I'll see you on the next classroom session.